are going to be working on handling skills. This is something you should work on with every dog, but particularly puppies. If you want your dog to be tolerant and even enjoy being pet and just interacting with lots of different kinds of people, you have to touch them in a lot of different ways. That way they'll be used to it and ready and prepared for it instead of surprised. Also, this is really going to help your groomers and your vets out to make sure that your dog is like, yeah, sure, touch me all over. Which is why I can do all of this, which I would not do with a dog that I didn't know, but she's nice and relaxed. However I move her, she just kind of falls over. That's the kind of reaction you want to this. If I stop, she's going to bring her head closer to my hand. Good girl. And that's generally how she reacts. I always test, and usually she'll bring her head right back into my hand like that. That means that she is enjoying the interaction. If she were to turn her head away from me, to walk away, anything like that after I started petting her, then that would mean that she probably wasn't enjoying the interaction. But the way that I got her so used to this was actually with specific handling skills that we worked on. Are you ready? All right, so she loves this game. First, I'm going to teach a chin rest. And so she can do this without the treats, but so you guys can see the timing. I'm just going to cup my hand, and wrong one, sweetie. I'm going to cup my hand, yes, and she's going to put her chin in my hand. But if you have a dog that's not sure about doing that, you're going to put the treat really close and maybe even drag it across your palm, yes. And you're going to yes, because we don't have enough hands to use a clicker, for when her chin goes right into your hand. And you'll continue to do that until they start getting tail waggy like she is. That's your foot. I need your chin. Yes, there we go. But you see the tail wag? That's what you want. You want them really excited. Off. Good girl. So you also want to do the reverse, the muzzle grab. And I start off with just seeing if the dog will put their head under my hand. Yes, just like that. And again, she'll do it without the treat. Yes, good girl. That's how you know that the dog really gets it. She doesn't have to see me offer it. Yes, good girl. And I can even hold her muzzle, and this is really, yes, good girl, important. And she'll let me pull up on her lips. That's going to be really important for teeth brushing. You want to try and brush their teeth, yes, at least every other day, ideally every day. And you don't even need to use dog toothpaste specifically, but you do need a very soft toothbrush. And what you do for that is you get them used to having, yes, their muzzle held like that. And then you would take the toothbrush and insert it, yes, and brush like so until you can get the entire mouth. And if you do use a toothpaste for that, you want to make sure that you get a dog toothpaste specifically. Some dogs don't like the enzymatic ones because they get really bubbly. She loves toothpaste, but she prefers to have a toothpaste-free toothbrush. Are you ready? Yes, good girl. So as you can see, she is totally fine with being grabbed. You're also going to want to make sure that you can check the ears. Yes. If you have a floppy-eared dog, it's going to be really, really important that you can do this. Yes. She doesn't get a lot of hair growing in her ears. She doesn't have a lot of moisture because they are so open. Yes. But it is still important that I can grab her ears. With Frankie behind me, we've caught ear infections before the vet even thought. He said, I've never seen someone catch an ear infection so early, because he loves his ears being rubbed. And he just turned his head away when we went to pet his ears, and he kept doing that. So the next day we brought him in. There was an ear infection. You can save yourself a lot of pain and suffering and money if you can inspect your dog like this and find things early. So you should also be able to ruffle your dog's coat in the wrong direction. If you have a dog with soft hair like a Yorkie or a Shih Tzu, you should be able to run your fingers through their coat and almost kind of pull on it. There's not much for me to pull on for her, but kids still grab it, so I make sure that she's okay with that. She has a lot of excess skin, yes, on her neck, so I can grab that, but you're going to have to start really, really gradually for a dog that's new to you, or for a puppy. You might start off again with just petting, yes, and reward for that. Notice I'm saying yes to mark the exact moment that she earned the reward, which is for tolerating the touch. And I'll also work on stroking down her neck. And this is going to be especially important again for the fluffy dogs, because in order to have the hair trimmed around their eyes, the groomers will hold on to their chin hair so that they can hold them still to keep everyone safe from, getting scissors. So what I work on with her is I start off with just petting down the throat, and that gets a reward, and then I slow it down, and she doesn't really have hair there, so I'm just grabbing her neck skin, and she's totally fine with that because I've touched her and made it so rewarding for her. And you would just gradually, yes, hold the chin hairs. And again, you may have to do that slower and slower, but she'll actually let me hold her, yes, by the skin on her throat, because she's used, and I'm doing it very gently, but she'll let me do that because we've worked on this. Hold on. I didn't ask for that. Yes. good girl. And that's the kind of reaction that you want from your dog, is that they're like, yeah, whatever, hold me however you want. And again, with those fluffy dogs, because they're going to need to be trimmed, you might want to take a spoon. And when they're used to that, you can see separately if they're okay with having a spoon near their face and reward for that until you get to the point where you can hold it and put a spoon. That way you're not risking poking them with scissors, but they'll get used to shiny things being near their eyes. And again, your groomer will absolutely love you for that if your puppy is already trained for it. Now we're going to get to the feet, which Junie really wants to do. I know, thank you. Good girl. And you should be able to hold each toe, because to trim their nails or to grind them with a nail grinder, yes, good girl, you're going to have to be able to touch each toe. If you have a dog that hates having their feet touched, you're going to have to start with this really gradually. You may have to start with touching, yes, the shoulder, and then rewarding for that. And when they're totally fine wagging their tail, they're happy about you touching their shoulder, then you can work down to their elbow, yes. And let me see if I can do that on this side. Yes, so that you can pick up that part of their arm until finally you can just brush across their foot. Yes. And that can really, really help, because the dogs know what muscles and bones are connected to each other. If the dog doesn't like being its tail touched, most dogs are going to tense up when you touch right here. So that means that you would have to work on touching here, yes, and rewarding until you can get to the base of the tail, yes. And always do it. You want your dog's tail wagging, not wagging between their legs, because that means they're a little bit nervous. It's kind of like a nervous laugh if they're wagging between their legs. But you want to get to the point where everything you do, yes, is going to get a tail wag. You want them super excited. You want to touch all the feet, pull on the tail, not hard enough to cause pain, but just to get them used to that. Yes, you should be able to hold all the feet. Yes. You also need to be able to touch in between the legs. The vets are going to do that, and small children will grab your dogs there. So you want to be able to touch everywhere on your dog and make sure that they're super excited about it. Can you touch your eyes? Good job. You also want to be able to hold your dog, hold their chin still. Yes, not necessarily by the chin hairs, but just checking so you can check their eyes. And something you might want to be able to do is take even a dropper bottle and hold it over them. Yes, good girl. So that should you ever need to do eye wash if they get sand in their eyes at the beach, or if they get an eye infection or ears, you want to be able to hold them by each body part. You need to be able to examine each body part and actually interact with it. You want to prep them for using a cone, because when they get spayed or neutered, they're going to need to wear a cone, and should any injury ever happen, they're going to need a cone. Now, Junie's actually trained. Hey, Junie, cone. Good girl, where she will stick her head right in. That took a lot of practice. And what I started with was just holding the cone, yes, and letting her interact with it however she wanted, with it open, yes, good girl. And then I would hold it up to her chin, and again, the younger the dog, the easier. So if you're starting with a really young puppy, don't force them into it, but most puppies are going to be more excited about it. Can I put this on your neck instead? Off. Junie, off. And as you can see, she thinks it's a game, which is better than being afraid of it. Hey, Bug, can you stand? Thank you. Yes, there you go. And you can tuck it under the dog's chin, and then you can maybe have a second person, or if your dog is patient for treats, you can do it yourself. Drop it. Yes, and just get them used to that, and do that again and again, very gradually. You won't be able to move this quickly with a new dog, but she's already very trained for this. Can we try again? Yes, good girl. So she just sees it as a game for treats. And same thing for collars. A lot of puppies are not used to that. So you should be able to, oh, that was my fault. I had a treat in my hand. You ready? So you should be able to clip it on. Yes, good girl. And take it off. Yes, good girl, because having their neck grabbed is a very threatening gesture. So you may need to start off with just touching, yes, like that if you have a nervous dog. But once you can get it on and they're fine with that, you're going to start with collar grabs, because in emergencies, you may need to grab their neck, or even just to put a leash on, you're going to need to grab their neck. So you want to make sure they're prepped for that. So with a more timid dog, a really young puppy or a new dog, you start off, yes, with just stroking the collar. But if they're fine with that, you can get 1 finger in, 2 fingers, 3 fingers, and again, you're going to do several repetitions at each level until your dog is like, ooh, you're touching my collar, I'm so excited. Then you should be able to, yes, grab the collar, and usually the dog's going to be feeling less threatened if you reach from below. Hey, Bug. I know I got a crumb, huh? Yes, good girl. And with my dogs, they will actually vie to get into position to have their collar grabbed. Yes, because I've made it a game, so I'll put my hand down and I'll say collar, and they will, if you saw that, she just leaned into my hand. That's exactly what you want. And you'll practice from different sides and different angles. Yes, so that you can reach above. I'm gonna get her to face this way, and eventually you can, hold on, can you sit? Oh, too many spins, sit. Come here. There we go, but I should, yes, be able to grab from any angle. Yes, from behind, from above, I can stand over her. Hey, Buck, collar. Yes. There we go, good job. Okay, so now that your dog is super comfortable with having the collar taken on and off, and they love having their collar grabbed, then we want to work on the harness. The harness is really important for, for riding the car. You want to make sure that they're strapped in, not on their collar, but in a harness, or at least in a carry that's also strapped in. You don't want that going flying if in case of an accident or an abrupt stop. So for a dog that's timid, you may need to lure them through it and have it really loose and oversized in the beginning. But as you can see, she loves having her harness put on, so she almost put it on herself. And also at this point, your dog will be totally cool with you picking up their leg and their paw, so she actually offers it for me. She knows the pattern of put your head through the strap, put your leg through the strap, and then get a clip and one last treat. And I did that for about 3 days with her, and ever since then I've never needed a treat for it. She's been able to put it back right on. But if you have a really wiggly puppy, what you may need to do once you get the strap on here is you will have them look at a treat while you lift the leg in, and you sprinkle treats on the ground for them to eat while you reach underneath and buckle, and that can make it much easier for you to get it on. And then you can work on, again, since she's not gonna do it if there's a treat in my hand. Are you ready? So she's already used to the collar grab, so you can also teach that with a harness. But again, she loves having her collar grabbed, her harness grabbed. She loves the leash. She thinks it's amazing, but not every puppy does and not every dog does. So you may need to actually teach them to be okay with that. Good girl. So another thing that you're gonna wanna work on for handling is just preparing for the inevitable. If your dog has surgery or if they get injured, they may need to be wrapped with gauze or something like that. So you want to make sure your dog is okay with having their leg held for extended periods of time and just wrapping some gauze around. You don't have to worry about medical tape at this point. Hopefully they'll generalize to that. It'll be a lot easier to just take off the gauze. Good girl, release. But you want to make sure that they're used to that so that if anything happens, they're completely prepared for it. So that's my handling video for puppies, and for new dogs, it's really important. Just work on this in short sessions. Some dogs won't be able to handle this much. Again, she's very well trained and very well handled, so she can handle quite a lot. A very young puppy may only be able to handle a minute or two of handling at a time. If you have a more timid dog, they may only be able to handle one chin touch, and then you have to toss the treat away to let them relax and then come back. So you have to go at the dog's pace. Again, she's very familiar with this, so I can move very fast. I don't really have to even look at her. But when you're working with your dog, I want you to pay attention. Is their body getting tense? Are they looking away from you? Are they averting eye contact? Are they yawning a lot, scratching a lot? Are their ears going back? Those are all signs that your dog might be getting a little overwhelmed with this, because it can be really overbearing for certain dogs. So keep that in mind. And one last thing, the reason why I have this here is this is actually what I'm using. For a puppy, you want to use their food, but sometimes, especially if the dog is a little bit more nervous, you need something more exciting than that. And also crunching can take a long time. This is extremely healthy. It's balanced for all, for all ages. And they come in about 1/2-inch squares, but I just use some scissors to cut them up into these tiny little pieces, into about 3rd or 4th size pieces. And I just measure out how much food is a dog supposed to have, especially for puppies. And instead of putting it in a bowl where they don't have to think about it, they either get it used for training treats, or I put it in a puzzle toy. If, for instance, I had to work like a 12-hour day, then maybe I don't have a lot of time to do training that night, so I'll just put it in a puzzle toy like a Kong Wobbler or one of the other puzzle toys where they have to take the pieces out. And that way they're getting a lot of mental stimulation, which will help tire them out, and that way you have a nice, tired, and relaxed dog for you. So thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join us for the next one.